It's a divine coincidence that the year 2025 marks the Jubilee year for the Universal Catholic Church and also the 150th death anniversary of the servant of God Thatipatri Gnanamma, the foundress of the congregation of St. Anne's, Madras. As we commemorate the death anniversary, we lift every member of our congregation to the Lord, seeking spiritual nourishment, renewal, and revival by revisiting our original charism, vision, and mission under the patronage of our beloved Mother and our esteemed predecessors. The origin of our congregation of St. Anne's, Madras traces back to the 19th century in the state of TamilNadu, India. Thatipatri Gnanamma's husband, Mr. Innaiah, fell a victim to cholera during his journey with his parish priest on their pastoral ministry to Madras. At the age of 37 then, this widow, a mother of 5 male children, set out an arduous journey of 400 kilometers from her village Pirangipuram near Guntur in Andhra Pradesh to meet her son studying in the seminary at Madras. Little did she realize that this journey would culminate in the birth of 2 religious congregations for women. Reverend John Fennelly, the Vicar Apostolic of Madras, advised Thatipatri Gnanamma to stay back in Madras. Culture and language being challenging, she moved to Erayur, a village 50 kilometers from Madras, to stay with her relatives. Erayur, being a substation of Kilachery parish, which was 25 kilometers further away, could not afford daily mass. For the love of participating in daily mass, she moved to Kilacheri. Kilacheri had all the advantages of being a parish, having Telugu-speaking Catholics and located relatively nearer to Madras. To understand the plight of a widow, one has to read history. In the 19th century, the presence of widows in any public function was frowned upon and even considered inauspicious. Here was our mother Thatipatri Gnanamma in a new land, fighting against all odds, calling out the illiterate girls to get educated. It was purely the divine intervention that these illiterate girls responded to her call promptly. Her innate virtues of courage, creativity, leadership, coupled with her prayer and constant communion with God, changed this into a mass movement. This movement for education brought lay women associates, which made her eventually to found a congregation for this particular mission. On this momentous occasion, I would like to share with you my reflections on 10 characteristics I deem important concerning the vision, mission, and the legacy of the servant of God, Thatipatri Gnanamma.
The first characteristic of Mother Gnanamma. Mother discerned the signs of her times. Read the signs of the times is the clarion call of Vatican II. Mother Gnanamma had the aptitude of discerning the pulse of her times. During one of her conversations with Father Arokyanadar, the parish priest of Kilachery, She asked, "Why do you have a school only for boys run by Franciscan brothers and no school for girls? Are not the girls equal in the eyes of God?" Father Arokyanatha responded, "If women are educated, who will do the domestic chores?" This lit up the spark in our mother to change the status quo of the girls. Then the question comes, what are today's signs? I feel that we have to launch out into deep waters and respond to the signs of our times by stepping away from beaten paths and take the untraveled road. Let us interpret education in today's context. Are we not called to address the educational needs of special children, street girls, deserted women, prisoners, tribals, migrants, etc., and empowering them to change their status quo?
Though a widow, she rose above societal myths. She was not the one to be intimidated by the fact that she was just a lay woman, that too a widow. Like a ball that soars into the sky when struck, her trials and obstacles only made her stand up and discover her hidden strengths. Jesus came to change the meaningless traditions and rituals of his time by saying, "I tell you, change." Today, Pope Francis is courageous enough to change certain age-old irrelevant traditions, sometimes shocking the Catholic world. In the 19th century itself, our mother indeed broke many chains of traditions and empowered others to do so through the education of women. After 150 years of her death, we are talking about her with a sense of pride and delight. She is challenging us to look at our society today anew. What are the traditions we are called to look into today? As needs are changing, responses should also change. The existing ministries are to be done in a new way and find new ministries to liberate the poor politically, economically, and culturally. Are we creative, courageous, and committed like our Foundress? Let us relook in depth our consecrated life and ministries and ask the Spirit to put us on the right track. Today, in the context of the pandemic COVID-19 and the Synod on Synodality, do we hear the cry of our people? Responding creatively is the only way we can pay homage to our Foundress and make her presence alive today.
The third characteristic of our Foundress, servant of God, Mother Gnanamma, is she is a woman of prayer. Only a mystic can be a missionary. All great missionaries like St. Francis of Assisi, Ignatius Loyola, Mother Teresa, etc., including our present Pope Francis, are primarily mystics. Mother Gnanamma joins this band of mystics. Though she settled at Erayur, her deep longing to attend daily Eucharistic celebration and other spiritual practices was the sole reason for her exodus to Kilacheri. Prayer, both community and personal, is not an option today but a necessity. Pope Francis cautions us with the following: you are not NGOs. Your call is different. A religious must be a person of prayer. Without prayer, you think you can live and do everything. You will be a failure. Today, the complaint is that religious are not praying. They are seen as administrators, managers, workers, rather than women of prayer. How often do we say that there is no time for prayer? We take pride in our busy schedule and tight timetable. We don't even feel remorse for our failure to encounter the Lord who speaks in silence. Mother Gnanamma challenges us to look into our spiritual journey and to strengthen our own intimacy with the Lord. Can this sacred event be a God-given opportunity to revive our prayer life and recommit ourselves?
The fourth characteristic of Mother Gnanamma: pastoral ministry was her priority. Providing religious instruction was the primary ministry of our Foundress. The purpose of Jesus was very clear, as said in Luke chapter 4 verse 43. I must proclaim the good news of the kingdom. For this purpose I was sent. Let us ask ourselves, are we primarily religious who happen to be teachers, medical professionals, social workers, etc.? Or are we teachers, social workers, and so on who happen to be religious? Many a time our primary things become secondary and non-essentials become essentials. We have lost the focus and the priority. What is the primary focus or the primary ministry of our Foundress? What more am I doing than others? What is the speciality of my life as religious? We need to examine the following. Do we volunteer to offer religious instruction in our institutions? Are we serious and passionate about it? What innovative techniques do we use to attract the attention of our present day youth? Do we prepare ourselves for this mission? What are our formation programs? Is our formation geared to prepare the young religious to be energetic and passionate to render this mission? Can we recommit ourselves once again to involve voluntarily in the sacred ministry of religious instruction? What about our pastoral ministry, like visiting the families, praying with them, and involve actively in parish activities?
The fifth characteristic of our Foundress: Mother Gnanamma sold all her property for mission. Her life was a life that was shared, a life that was broken for others. Recognizing the need for a space of her own, she returned to Pirangipuram, her native village in Andhra Pradesh, and disposed of all her property. With the money she got, bought a plot of land adjacent to the church campus from Mangala Arulappa of the Karasala family in Kilacheri. Finally, there was a place to start a school. Now, she felt the need for money to build the school and the boarding for the students. She undertook a whirlwind tour of the major Christian villages in the districts of Kadapa and Kurnool in Andhra Pradesh to raise funds. Thus, all her properties and possessions, movable and immovable, that she sold off in her native village, became the capital for our nascent congregation. She joins in the line of the widow at Seraphat in the Old Testament from the first book of Kings, chapter 17, verses from 14 to 16. And the poor widow who was appreciated by Jesus, saying, "She has put in more than all those who are contributing to the treasury." Gospel of St. Mark, chapter 12, verses 42 and 43. Saint Mother Teresa's mantra, "Give until it hurts," became true in the life of our Foundress. This calls for a deeper reflection and personal conversion with regard to handling of finance and common property of the congregation. Should we review our spending common money without proper accounting? Pope Francis speaks about anestheticide conscience. Can we keep our conscience clear and impeccable in this regard and make the vision of our Foundress alive? Let us listen to the voice of God and do what it asks of us.
The sixth characteristic of Mother Gnanamma: empowering women through education. At a time of great cultural rigidity and strong patriarchy, when girls' education was considered taboo and widows' presence deemed inauspicious, establishing a school exclusively for girls was a great revolution. As we read in Matthew chapter 4 verse 23, Jesus went through Galilee, teaching in their synagogues and preaching the good news of the kingdom. 2/3 of the mission of Jesus was education. Education of the mind through teaching and formation of the heart through preaching. Gnanamma took up the work of teaching both academic and spiritual education to the children. She thus rose to new life of freedom and courage by destroying traditional boundaries at their roots. "Education is not meant for women," cried the society of her days. She raised the counter call of education primarily for women. Her starting of a school for girls was the final blow to tradition. Those voices that questioned, "Who is this woman, that too a widow, to start a congregation?" were silenced. Mother Gnanamma was one such hidden but powerful woman. She is indeed a natural revolutionary and a model for all women. She is a Joan of Arc, a Judith, and a Rani Maria of her times. Are we primarily empowered women? Do we empower others by our God-given skills and abilities? Do we take up issues of social justice like the exploitation of labor abuse of human rights, trafficking of women and children, and the ravaging of the earth, and thus prove our women worth? Pope Francis often stresses the importance of women and their role within the church. Women have a capacity for theological reflection that is different to that of us men. The church is woman, and if we do not know what a woman is, what the theology of a woman is, we will never understand what the church is. And this is a task that I ask of you. Please make the church less masculine. Mother Gnanamma was a model to the call of Pope Francis in this situation.
The seventh characteristic of Mother Gnanamma: simple lifestyle and hard work. My father is still working, and I also am working. St. John chapter 5 verse 17. In the Bible, work is sanctified and made sacred. Hence, St. Paul says, anyone unwilling to work should not eat. 2 Thessalonians chapter 3 verse 10. Hard work was the hallmark of our mother. It was her key to success. It made her more determined, responsible, and mature. Those infant days of her congregation, along with the first fruits, Sister Angela and Sister Philomena, were indeed a fountain of witnesses. There were no strict rules except those of the heart and of love. Passion for her ministry was the only inspiration where all three excelled. Obstacles never stopped them. With love on the throne, power and authority had no place in the palace. The congregation was just a happy family. Her many missionary travels, varied efforts, and never-ending sacrifices proclaimed loudly to the world her resolve to accomplish what she had set her mind on. Even on the deathbed, our Foundress had the clarity and courage to instruct her followers. It is very edifying to learn the parting message of Mother Gnanamma to her two first fruits and the novice Joseph from her deathbed, after reading from the letter of St. Paul to 1 Corinthians chapter 1 verses 26 to 31. My beloved children, be obedient to those who are responsible for you. Listen to your spiritual guides. Along with the academic and religious education to girls, provide shelter and security to young girls. Do not depend on government aid or expect to receive help from others. May your hard work be your protection and strength. She could say with St. Paul, in frequent journeys, in danger from rivers, in toil and hardships, through many a sleepless night, hungry and thirsty, often without food, as mentioned in 2 Corinthians chapter 11 verses 26 and 27. Can we evaluate sincerely about the way we live our life today? Should we also review some of our decorations, jubilees, and solemn celebrations? Should we review our fees collection, pay scales, our treatment of staff, etc.? Is worship divorced from life? Can we involve laity in our evaluation and get guidance? Can we accept the feedback with openness and humility and transform our way of functioning?
The eighth characteristic of Mother Gnanamma, an innovative leader. In consecrated life, leadership is always considered as a ministry to show the way, point the way, to live the way, and to influence others towards the goal. Mother Gnanamma had natural leadership traits. She was an integration of being and doing, and a combination of head and the heart. She was an inspiration and led others by her service and example. We are experiencing a different model today. The traditional, autocratic, and hierarchical models of leadership are slowly yielding to a new model, a synodal model. Listening, speaking, dialogue, discernment, and decision making are the buzzwords of synodality. Good leaders believe that power and authority are to serve others, to grow, and not to command and control. Mother Gnanamma is an example of the power of not seeking power. She lived the walk the talk technique among the women whom she had discovered. She took a stand for a cause and led others too towards it. We are all called to be leaders with inner freedom of spirit, with courage to venture into new ground, with compassion in embracing the poor and the marginalized. Let us create waves around us and make a difference with our transforming leadership style.
The ninth characteristic of Mother Gnanamma is she is a daring and caring woman. Only a daring woman can be a caring woman. She was courageous to be different because of her motherly passion and love. She responded to her times as she listened to God's Spirit with an ear of the heart. Mother Gnanamma did not pronounce her vows in the congregation in a formal canonical sense. Rather, she embodied an obedience that constantly listened to the stirrings of the Spirit, responding with a yes. A poverty that involved selling all she had in search of the kingdom of God above all things, and a chastity reflected in her joyful and motherly love that embraced everyone. Her academic qualifications were minimal, but her achievements were significant. Being a rural woman and a widow at the young age of 37 did not lead her to a sense of inferiority. Her deep faith in the Lord, her courageous commitment, her selfless hard work, and her simple, unassuming life elevated her to the status of foundress of a congregation. Women like Shiphrah and Puah mentioned in the book of Exodus, the Shunammite woman mentioned in the book of Kings, many other unnamed, unknown women of the Bible, and the umpteen modern courageous women who are radically working for justice and equality. Our Mother Gnanamma too initiated a silent revolution through her life and actions. Is there anything that a woman is incapable of doing in this 21st century? Is there anything a woman cannot achieve if she has a focus and passion? Mother Gnanamma beckons every member of our congregation of St. Anne to become like her in today's challenging society and be empowered women and empower women of our society.
The 10th characteristic of Mother Gnanamma. Servant of God, Thatipatri Gnanamma is a legend, a dimension of constant search for God and a deep sense of inner discernment, an ability to listen to the Spirit and to take right decisions at the right time, courage in breaking societal traditions and customs, a socialist approach to life like early Christians, as mentioned in Acts chapter 4 verse 32, who placed everything in common and for the common good. Her open-mindedness in sending the first fruits of her congregation to another congregation for their formation, her focused travels and sacrifices, her choice of ministries based on the urgent needs of the women of her times, the dynamism to soar higher and higher towards a sublime spirituality of love and service. All these qualities make Mother's life indeed a legend.
This great congregation of ours took root by the grace of God and the generous response of servant of God Thatipatri Gnanamma to God's call in her time. Today, people do not expect consecrated religious just to be efficient administrators, achievers, or competent professionals, but rather joyful, selfless, other-oriented, compassionate, and spiritual guides. Let us resolve to relive her life, swimming against the current and overcoming the temptations of complacency and formalism. Listening to the call of synod and synodality, let us adopt a participatory and inclusive approach, seeking shared responsibility to radically revise our lifestyle and ministries. By discerning the synodal pathways for mission, may this commemoration of 150th death anniversary of our Foundress initiate a process of real spiritual cleansing in our congregation. This is the only way we can pay homage to her. Let us continue to pray that our Foundress, the servant of God Thatipatri Gnanamma, be raised to the altars of sainthood. God bless you all.